Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with coconut rice. That's right, with the weather warming up, we've already done a few grilled meats videos, and we'll definitely do a few more. But today I thought I would show something that would make a perfect side dish for those grilled meats. And that would be this amazing and very easy to make savory coconut rice. And I say savory so it's not to be confused with those sweet coconut rices, which while delicious are way closer to a dessert for me. Alright, we are going to get a little bit of natural sweetness from the coconut. But unlike some versions, this is not going to rival our strawberry shortcake in sweetness. So with that, let's go ahead and get started by dumping some jasmine rice into a heavy-bottom saucepan. And while jasmine rice is what I'm recommending here, any long-grain rice should work. And then besides the rice, we're also going to need some finely and freshly grated ginger, as well as some red chili flakes. And if those look different, it's because I'm not using the Italian style. I'm using Korean chili flakes, which don't have any seeds. And then we'll also toss in a little spoon of turmeric, which is going to warm up the color of our rice. Plus, apparently turmeric prevents every major disease known to man. Oh yeah, I read that on Twitter. And then we'll finish up our seasonings with some salt, before moving on to our two liquid ingredients, the first of which would be some nice fresh cold water. And then last but not least, we'll go ahead and dump in 1 can of coconut milk, and set our heat to medium-high because we want to bring this up to a simmer. And by the way, you only get to stir this once. Okay, we don't want to continue to stir this as it comes up to a simmer, as that could mess with our texture. Okay, so get in there with your whisk and stir it until it's just combined, and then stop. So we will give that a quick stir, and then simply stand there waiting for it to simmer. And when we see little bubbles happening around the edge, we know we're getting close. And as soon as our mixture actually starts to simmer, we need to quickly do 3 things. We need to toss 1 bay leaf on top. We need to cover this tightly and reduce our heat to low. Because what we're going to need to do is let this cook on low for exactly 18 minutes. And if you're thinking, we should probably peek at that and stir it a few times, well, your instincts are terrible. We need you to leave this alone for exactly 18 minutes. But once this cooks for 18 minutes undisturbed on low, we still don't peek or stir it. No, we're just going to turn off the heat and set our timer for 5 minutes. I know, you want to see it, but you already waited 18 minutes. You could wait 5 more. And then finally, once it rings, we can uncover it and take a look, but more importantly, fluff it with a fork. And we're simply doing this to break that rice up and separate the grains. So we are only briefly forking this until that happens. Okay, if you keep stirring, what's going to happen is you're going to rub starch off, and the mixture is going to get stickier. Which, by the way, I should mention, if you want it stickier, keep stirring. But that's good enough for me. And then assuming it's tasting like you want, which it will be, we can go ahead and transfer that to a serving bowl. And then for a final touch, maybe we'll finish with some toasted coconut. And that's it. My take on coconut rice is done. And yes, of course, if you want to go ahead and garnish this with some herbs like cilantro, or maybe some sliced green onions, go ahead. You are, after all, the Vincent Price of your coconut rice. So do not be frightened to adapt this as you see fit. But anyway, let me grab a fork and dig in so I can brag about how perfect the texture came out. And that's grains of rice that have kind of a sticky, tacky surface, but that remain separate and not all clumped together, which is exactly what we have here. But who cares about texture and appearance if it doesn't taste good? Which I'm happy to report it does. As I mentioned in the intro, what we're going for here is a savory rice side dish with just a little bit of sweetness. And for me, this has just the right balance. And sure, the stuff is so tasty you could just eat it as is. But what's an even better idea is to enjoy it with those beautiful grilled summer meats. Like, for example, this amazing hoisin beef, which there's a very good chance I'm going to show you how to make. But whether you enjoy this with a juicy grilled piece of skirt steak, or with some barbecue chicken, or maybe some sweet smoky ribs, no matter what you pair this with, I really do hope you give it a try soon. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.